Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Tirza, and I have with me the lovely Penny. She's lovely too. Lovely Penny Elliott. She is a business coach for women entrepreneurs. She has an amazing story, and I'm really happy. I'm glad to have her on to really give a new perspective to what we're talking about. And so Penny, tell us a little bit more, about yourself and your story. I think stories are really powerful, and I think people just love to hear, that um, the journey to be an entrepreneur is not always as glamorous as it is from the outside, and
Yeah.
so to give people that inside perspective is really I think sobering for a lot of people. And so just tell us a little bit about yourself and then what you also do as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
So I live in New Zealand, which is below Australia and not part of Australia, for everyone out there. um, and I have sort of really seen the roller coasters of money and what it can and can't do for you in your life. So when I was a child, our house got repossessed underneath us, and I had to hide in the bathroom while the repossessing agent was coming to try and serve papers to my father to take away our house and everything. And but it's not a rags story. We were fairly well off. My father imported and were helicopters and was a helicopter pilot. He has an OBE from the Queen for search and rescue. So as you alluded to, everything on the outside was really amazing. We had a huge house with a goldfish pond that had an island in the middle of it that you could sit in. We had peacocks on our lawn. We had it all. I used to get dropped to school in a helicopter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. And then it just dissolved, and
Mm,
it felt like a matter of seconds. And so I really know what money can and can't do in your life.
mm-hmm.
And then as I grew up, those kind of stories kept coming to me as well as I had the highs and lows. And what really drives me now is to help empower women so that they can be in charge of their own lives and their own money and really know their worth and see that making money is actually something that's fun and enabling, and it allows you to live the life that you want to live and on your own terms. And I'm really, really passionate about being healthy, being outside in the outdoors, going on adventures, traveling, sort of having it all, really. And part of that is, and the reason why I've been able to do that for the majority of my life is because I have really been and love sales. So I've always been able to generate income for myself to be able to go and do the things that I wanted to do. So never has it crossed my mind that I needed to save for something. I just thought, right, what can I sell? What can I write? What can I do? How can I, generate some more income through whatever avenues that I wanted to. And I saw that a lot of female entrepreneurs really struggle. And as you said, they have this beautiful exterior that it's all rosy and, oh, look, this is amazing. And they have beautiful websites, gorgeous social media. They're always, living life as if, but really wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning thinking, what the fuck am I going to do tomorrow? Like, where's my next client coming from? Or it might be, how am I going to sell this container of goods that's arriving, or I really want to be able to help the children in my school,
Mm-hmm.
or women who are less fortunate than me, but they can't actually get to that place. Or they might be, sure, making great amounts of money, but working so hard that they're going to bed at 3 a.m. in the morning and waking up at 8, and actually don't even know what their gym looks like, what the outside looks like, don't even know what their children look like, or they're complete biatches to their partners because they're so stressed out because they just go, 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 go. So for me, being able to really love, enjoy, and nail the sales part of your business is so important, because
Mm-hmm.
it means that you don't always have to be on the hustle. You don't always have to be worried. It means you can go traveling if you want to, because you know that you've got the money coming in. So it's a huge enabler, and a lot of people avoid it. It's not as fun as making a great creative in Canva, or having a lovely photo shoot, or doing those sorts of things. So it's about taking that creative urge that a lot of female entrepreneurs have and putting it into sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of women, I like you because you set a great example as someone who really takes time for themselves and does things, and I think there's an unhealthy culture of like hustle, 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 do, and then we leave ourselves behind. And wonder halfway through what happened and why are we doing what we're doing. And so really staying centered in that, I think, is crucial. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget that. So that's great.
Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs, and it's true, you have to put the hard work in, at first to get the aircraft around, as they say. That's when it uses the most amount of fuel. But a lot of people don't know when to get into the glide, get into the air, sit up there and know that the vortex underneath is holding you up there, I guess, to keep going with that metaphor, and really cause a huge amount of burnout. And a lot of that is the internal pressure that they put on themselves to be the best, to be greater than someone else, to really prove something, when really there's no need to. And it's the same as like, when you're a mum, like, you have all the mums that make these amazing cakes and they have these perfect birthday parties, and, and they have like these perfect kids that are all dressed all beautifully and their house is amazing, and you only need to sort of scratch at the surface a little bit and they just fall apart going, I can't cope, I can't keep up with this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that facade. It's so unrealistic when we peel away those layers. Yeah. So tell me a time in your journey, business or not, that you kind of felt like you kind of lost your way and you're like, what am I doing?
That happens all the time. I think that it's really unrealistic to think that you have like one
right. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have so many,
Yeah, totally. So this is my 7th business. There's no way that this will probably be the last either.
Right.
It's ever evolving. So I think a really great thing, a great saying is that clarity comes from action. And I really love to take action, and a lot of people sort of say to me, you need to hold back and think about it for a bit, but you don't really know if you like something until you give it a try, right? So as a kid you are thrown into ballet lessons, drum lessons, all sorts of stuff, and they're like, she'll work out what her calling is. But as an adult we don't really do that. We're much more cautious. So I think that there's been lots of occasions where I've gone, I don't really like this anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. So a good example is probably, there's one in triathlon where I like the fact of doing off-road stuff, but actually when it's too difficult, I really don't have a good time. So I actually really like running really fast on the road. So most people find road running really boring, but I think that it's really great and I really enjoy it. In business, I thought that I really wanted to help athletes and help them with getting sponsorships. So really, again, all around the money, so that if they've got money in their lives with the sponsorship, then they can just go off and do all their training and be really awesome. But once I sort of got into that a little bit more, I realized that they didn't really want to help themselves. And that was quite devastating, might be a bit too strong, but it was definitely quite hard for me to swallow, because I was like, why can you not see that if you put some time into your sponsors, it means that you'll have loads more time to be able to go and do the things that you love. So Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah,
I think, you just need to give something a go, invest a little bit of time and effort into it, test the waters, and then be okay with saying, that's not quite how I want. I've got a client who has not totally changing shift, but she's done some stuff for a while, 8 months, built a really good business around it, and decided, I don't really like that aspect that I'm coaching, so I'm going to go more with this part. And she sort of, we've worked together to work out, like, it's okay to do that. She would never have known about this part if she hadn't have done this part first. So it's okay to evolve and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have a hard time with learning to be okay with, like, it's okay to restart. And I think there's a lot of fear in that, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this all over again. And just the idea, like, it's okay to try something, and it's okay to restart, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you didn't like something, like, it's all right, that's how it goes. And I think there's a lot of, like, you have to stick with it, and if you don't like it, you have to keep doing it, because I think that's kind of the work world today, and how it's set up. It's like, you pick one thing, and too bad if you're kind of stuck there. And I think a lot of people still have that mindset of, I'm stuck, versus, oh, I can restart, it's fine.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, there's a difference between sort of restarting and understanding that that little piece of work that you did, or that business that you started that you didn't end up to do, isn't lost skills. It's actually making the next start so much quicker. So I've built 9 websites now, so I can kind of do it with my eyes closed, right? And the other thing is, like, all the times that I started a business and they were successful, but I just didn't have the patience to keep them going. With desire all the information. So that has really helped me now help my clients as well. So everything all happens, for a reason, right? So if you try something out, say you try saxophone lessons and you don't like it, well, you never know, later on down the track you might be teaching the children how to play the recorder, and now how to read music. It can be as simple of a lesson as that. So
yeah, that's so very true. So you work with a lot of clients, and I think a big thing to overcome is the mindset piece. Like, making money and doing the steps is easy, but I think it's our mind that really gets in the way of telling us things that aren't true. And so what do you do to kind of gain that clarity and that mindset, and how do you help other people, and what kind of things have you seen that have been successful?
Okay, that's a great question. So what do I do? I definitely look at a situation, and if say clients aren't coming in this week, or I'm having a bit of difficulty with attracting the right people, or something like that, maybe it's something around that, and then I really sit down and I look at what's actually behind that. Is it that actually I'm too busy at the moment anyway to take on more clients, and I'm just thinking, oh, I need to do it because I need to grow, and that's how I grow. A great example is one of my clients is setting up a group program, so hasn't taken on any one-on-ones in the last 3 weeks, and was really beating herself up. But we had to really look at, well, what is your focus at the moment? Is it been on one-on-ones, or is it been on your group program? So let's reframe that in your mind, that you haven't not signed any clients in the last 3 weeks, you've chosen not to. And so that kind of mind shift is really important. The other really important mind shift that I see with a lot of my clients, and a lot of people who aren't my clients out there, is self-worth. Really, really one, and that needs a lot of mindset change. A lot of people self-sabotage themselves, or set an upper limit, to sort of quote out of the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, fantastic book. They will want this big goal, or think that they want this big goal, and then on the way to it won't be able to know how to sit at the next level. So now you make 10K a month? How are you going to sit in that place and own it and then move forward? So most people will make 10K one month and they'll be like, yay, I've made it. And then they're like, holy shit, like, how am I going to keep doing that? And totally like sabotage themselves by getting sick, creating a holiday, doing something else, something that seems quite normal but isn't, is a self-sabotage or an upper limit. They set that limit there, and then the next month they go, oh, I didn't sign, I've only got $2,000 in this month, and that's because, I was never going to get to that level. And, and it's easier to sit in that place than it is to sit in the $10,000 place and say, right, okay, I'm going to do that again. What worked well last month, I'm going to repeat that, rinse, repeat, and do it again. How am I going to keep continuing to reach out to people and sort of stop, celebrate, and then go again. Yeah. And you see that with so many people in so many different areas. That's why, like, big rock stars and sports people, Tiger Woods is a great example of not being able to sit at that top level, right? And just embrace it. He had to sort of tear his life apart by certain means. So
that's sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a massive mindset work that we do together, is to, okay, this is great. Now accept it as your reality and know that that's what your worth is. And the next step is more worth. And really giving them tangible files. I think about it as on your computer. So you have these files that go back to for courage or for affirmation or whatever it might be. Once you get to a certain level, the reason why you got there is because you've read more books, you've hired a coach, you've done a program, so you've made yourself a lot more valuable, right? You've added all this extra value to you. So therefore you are a more worthy, valuable entity to someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think our self-worth, that's something I'm passionate about, helping, people find that worth. And I think it's so crucial because, you think you make it and you're like, oh, I only deserve to make it like once. I can't keep doing that. And, that's where that self-sabotage comes in. I think that's so common with a lot of people. It's just this belief that we're not enough and that we're, that we're not enough. And, so changing that, I think, is something that we've ingrained, and other people have, ingrained in us for all our lives. It's such a powerful thing to shift.
Yeah. And I also think that it's not just about, like, a lot of people don't even believe that or recognize that they have that thought pattern. And so it's helping them recognize that. And then they go, oh my goodness. And then they're really quite upset about that. And you're like, no, it's quite normal, so it's fine. And then how to move on from that. That's really key, because I think a lot of the mindset work let people be in a real tailspin, because they come to this realization and they're like, well, what do I do now? So I'm really also about, what's the next actionable steps that you can take after that.
Yeah, taking action. And not just, letting them sit there in that spot of like, oh,
Yeah.
What do I do now? Yeah. I want to shift gears, but I've been asking all my speakers this because I think it's fun and a useful little tip for anyone watching. It's just like, what kind of things do you do outside of your business or outside of really anything that you do to get clarity? And to kind of spark that creativity so that you can, start a new project or new business or, what kind of things do you do to get to that place?
That's never really been too much of an issue for me. I will go for a hike in nature. I really find that that's makes you fairly present, but also allows your mind to wander. And what I love about running and cycling, which I do a lot of, is that you have to be really present, because otherwise, like, you trip over or you'll run into a car or something like that. But that presence also just on like a simple motion allows your brain to actually have the space to go and find the answer. So often if I was doing something really, if I'm doing something really quite difficult or that, what do I do next? Or, and in those situations, that's when most people would say, sit in there, grind it out, have some grit, have some determination. I'll actually go, oh, I'm going to go for a run. And then I feel like a bit of a badass because I'm like, I'm running during the middle of the day and everyone else is at work. And like, out in the sun, not having to pound the pavements in the middle of, in the dark. And, that's when I will have my most amazing idea, thought. It'll all come flowing to me. And I've often said that I need to have like a person next to me with a dictaphone, or taking notes, taking notes for me, because that is when I have the most clarity. And so I think that while running and hiking and cycling for some people is not always possible, I think it's really important to do something that requires immense amounts of focus that will then allow your mind to wander. So that can happen when I read a book. So I might be reading a book and I'll get like one paragraph done, which is super frustrating. I'm like, thinking about something else, and it'll all just come flowing in. It might be writing in a journal. Sometimes I find that you can get too documentary with writing in a journal. So if you kind of start drawing pictures and things like that, that can help as well. But yeah, definitely getting outside and getting some fresh air.
Yeah, and that's what I'm all about, helping people kind of discover their worth and being creative and finding new ideas like through the outdoors as one avenue. I think, it helps you focus, and like you said, it just really brings clarity. I find that my best ideas come on the trail as well, just that you have to watch every step you take, and all that's around you is trees or things that aren't going to distract you the way a computer or another person would. So there's real value in that, getting outside.
Yes, the only problem is your new the new sports watches, you can get your text messages. So I have actually hit a route and tripped over, face planted looking at a text message. So there definitely needs to have that function turned off. But like getting out, and even if you go with someone else, like there's only a certain amount of time that you can talk, right? And then you have those silent periods, and it's in those silent periods that you really have to focus. So yeah, definitely.
When I hike with my husband, I'm always way behind because he's really tall. So even if I like kept up with him, I would have to like run. So
that totally, he's cheating.
I know, he's totally cheating.
All the water and all the weight.
Seriously. But that way, I mean, it's nice for me because I'm in the back, and I just sometimes I will talk to myself or think to myself, and my husband's always like, what are you doing all the way back there? I'm fine. I'm great. You go ahead. So I love that, and being active is so crucial. And I think a lot of especially entrepreneurs don't get out as often. We get so focused, and we have that tunnel vision, and learning to step away, I think, is so important.
Definitely.
So what, to close out, I'm going to ask you one last question, and then, or no, this is my second to last question. Never mind. Thinking through my head. So what would you say to someone who, wants to start, and you sound like you have no fear in starting anything. And so you can take a moment to think about like, what would it be like if I was terrified to start something, but, and what would you say to them to kind of catalyze that and to go like, okay, you can do this?
Well, what I've always done is, which is, I don't know, some people might not agree, but what I've always done, and especially in sort of like the triathlon world and then in the business world, is I've bought something, whether it be a race entry fee, a program, or some one-on-one coaching, or even a musical instrument, or something that, or a bike, or something that is just ridiculously expensive. So it scared the living shit out of me to think that, okay, I've spent this amount of money, I am so committed to doing it. So an Ironman entry fee is about $850 US, which is a lot for one day, right? And then I got myself a coach, a nutritionist, a sports psychologist, a bike, a wetsuit. You know, I was so far gone in the commitment financially that I actually absolutely had to do the work, because I kind of kept thinking, okay, you know, I have to do this because look at all this stuff I've got, and look at all, you know, look at how much I've sort of paid to enter. I've got to do this. And that was the same with my first group program that I joined, and my first one-on-one coach. I was like, oh fuck, this is a lot. Like, you know, so I was present, right? And I did all my modules, and I did all my workbooks, and I was on every call, and then because I was so committed right at the beginning, that just gave me the energy and the motivation and the sort of the gumption or the push to keep going. And then that's how you become a shining star as well. So yeah, if you're sitting there kind of thinking, I've got this little bit of an idea, then invest, get yourself get a designer, get it out there, get a creator to do your logo, because as soon as you start seeing these things coming through, that's going to create more motivation. So success breeds motivation. So the more little steps that you do, the better you will see. And always try and go for the one step above where you think you're at. And I say this to like a lot of my athletes in the past as well, like never buy a bike at the level that you're at now, because you will ride it and 3 weeks later you're going to be better than that. So that's the same with getting a logo created, or building your website or something like that. Always try and strive for the level above where you're at, because you will reach that level really quickly, and then you'll be like, oh, now I need to go and buy a whole new bike, now I need to go and get a whole new website. It'll be demotivating. So always set that stretch target a little bit further than where you are. Yeah, and if it scares you, it'll get you out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like a gym membership. If you pay $10 a week, you'll be like, whatever, it's $10 a week, I'll go. If you're paying $150 a week and you've got a personal trainer sitting there kicking your ass, you're like, oh my God, I better go. Like, I've invested so much in this. I really want the results, you know, and you get the results. You'll get the results so much quicker than you would have if you be a $10 membership.
Yeah. Money is a real motivator. And I think that's true. And investing in yourself is so important for that reason, because you're like, okay, I invested a ton of money in this and, you know, I can't go back now, you know, I already paid for it. It's that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No turning around. Don't look back. Yeah. I think, that's a big terrifying thing for a lot of people. And, you know, spending the money on, especially for like something yourself or something that you want to do. And maybe it's not even for money making purpose, but, you know, better your health or stuff like that. But yeah, I totally agree with that money is a huge motivator in that way.
Yeah. And you can use money as your coach in that respect as well. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, say some of your audience might relate to purchasing a handbag, for example. Like, if you buy yourself a Mulberry or a Louis Vuitton, you're going to look after it a whole lot better than you are if you buy yourself like an H&M or a Topshop, you know, $15 handbag. You're going to throw that around, you're going to stick it on the bar with sticky booze on there, and like, don't worry if something spills on the inside of it, you know, your moisturizer bursts or anything like that. So if you think about yourself in that handbag analogy, like, do you want to give yourself the $10 treatment, or do you want to give yourself something that you treasure and look after, you know? So there is confidence as well. So the more you invest in yourself, the more you actually are going to take it seriously and really see the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could have the best coach in the world, and if you're only paying $50 a month for them, that's not going to do you any good. Because yeah,
and it's good to kind of test the waters, but if you want to have, like, as your question was, like, to accelerate and to really go for it, like get really going really quickly, then definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Just and worry about the how sort of later. It will come.
Right. It'll all fall together. It's just starting. And I think people think they have to have all the things perfect and everything in a line. But it's just starting, getting that started, and everything will come.
And a lot of the times, the universe actually causes you to start when you didn't think you were ready.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a cancer scare, there'll be a child, there'll be a death, there'll be an earthquake, there'll be something that will catapult people into action.
Mm-hmm.
And really, they were already ready to take that action. They just, a lot of people need some sort of catastrophic thing to make them take action. And I would like to see people to take action before it gets to that point, before you get to where you have a heart attack and you're lying in hospital and think, shit, working 17-hour days as a lawyer isn't what lights me up, like, let's get to that stage. Let's get to that a lot earlier.
Right. Yeah. Before we close out, first, if there's anything that's really on your heart that you want to close out with, and then you can go right into your offering for us.
Cool. So, okay. Well, I think the main thing that's really in my heart is to make sure that you enter the entrepreneurial world with your eyes wide open. It isn't all the shiny bells and whistles that you see on Facebook. It is not all the lovely photo shoots that you see and all the motivational words as well. People are human. So know that if you're having a bit of a shitty week, that's totally fine and that's normal. You would have a shitty week when you're in your 9 to 5 as well. So that's one thing. And then the other part is that if you really want to make sure that you sit down and really write down what your personal goals are and what your business goals are, and then make them align. So it might be that you want to be able to go outside hiking on the weekends. Well, then don't have really aggressive growth that requires you to work 7 days a week, 40 weeks on, because you're only going to disappoint yourself on both sides. And knowing that it's okay to have that balance. And if you really nail the sales part and you get really solid on who you want to attract, how to attract them, how to serve them the best possible way, and then knowing your own worth and charging that and feeling authentic and okay about it, means that you won't have to work with so many people, you won't have to hustle so hard, and you'll have your weekends, and then your two lists will congeal together. And so then you'll live the life that you want, really.
That's awesome. Yeah. Finding that balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And whenever I say that to people, they go, and they smile sort of thinking, shit. I can't remember the last day I didn't look at my Facebook account. So I mean, and you'll see that in my Facebook group that I'm barely ever there on the weekends, and I wouldn't expect any of the other girls that are in there to be in there on the weekends, because you should be off doing the stuff that you love. And if you are on the weekends, it's because you've taken Wednesday off to go and have a spa day, or right, because then you don't have to go when everyone else goes on the weekend, right?
Exactly.
And one of the big things that I always get asked is how do I stay consistently booked without this sort of roller coaster, right? And that's what I spoke about right at the beginning, is I've definitely seen that roller coaster of money. I've gone from being dropped at school in a helicopter to being dropped at school in a Honda Matic 2-door 20-year-old car, not a vintage. So I've gone from the highs, the real highs, the ridiculous highs, to the to the lows. And so how to stop that roller coaster happening, you know, like the good month, the 5-figure month like we talked about, and then the like $2,000 month afterwards. And that's all about your consistency. And so I've created a challenge that's happening in my Facebook group next week. It starts on April the 4th, and we're going through the 4 pillars of marketing to keep consistent sales. So I would love it if any of your watchers and listeners and community wanted to join in. It would be wonderful to have you all there. It's going to be 5 live trainings, 1 each day, and there'll be some giveaways in there as well, and you get a workbook too.
Awesome. That's great.
So I'll give you the link.
Yeah, and the link will be below us, and so I encourage you to check out and join that challenge. And will the challenge be open past the 5 days?
Yeah, so the training will be live each day in the Facebook group, but you can watch the replays, and if you join the Facebook group, you can always go back and look at them as well, and the PDF will be popped in there at the end of the training as well.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so check out her link below, and I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your, what is it there, morning? Is it morning?
Yes, it is.
Morning.
It is, what's today? Tuesday morning.
Yeah, so Tuesday morning you are, you've traveled time, because I'm still in Monday.
We're so ahead of the yeah.
So I just want to say thank you
before everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.